It's music to our, eyes. Welcome to Watch Mojo UK, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 British music biopics.
Well, I hate to break it to you, Jacqueline, but the way things are looking, it looks like there might be one less worker bee in the Morrissey hive.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're focusing on biopics, including those which are semi-fictionalised, and documentaries which tell the story of a British musician or band. We are excluding films that are overly fictionalised though, like A Hard Day's Night, and ones which capture a specific music scene without reference to the bands themselves, like Quadrophenia.
Who do you think you are anyway?
Oh, I don't know. You tell me, eh?
Number 10, Oasis Supersonic. This film tackles the world of 1990s Britpop, or more specifically, its defining group Oasis.
I don't know what the consequences would have been without it happening, because it was like, if it didn't happen, the world would be black, you know what I mean?
Charting the wild success of these working class lads from Manchester, Supersonic stops before their decline in the noughties, where the ugly rivalry between Liam and Noel ended the band for good.
I was steadfastly not going to get involved.
Do you think Liam's a little bit upset?
Instead, we're treated to a glimpse into their early years, their notoriously bad behaviour, and down-to-earth attitudes that made them beloved, including previously unseen backstage footage. Though many fans were indeed likely hoping for a full explanation, or at least an examination, of the infamous Gallagher feud.
It'll never get repeated, not because we were great or better than anyone else, just because we didn't actually give a flying. We've definitely got a table upstairs with the big boys.
Number 9, Velvet Goldmine. While not explicitly about David Bowie, this is about as close as you can reasonably get to a biography of Bowie without actually being one. It follows the career of semi-fictional glam rock idol Brian Slade, Velvet Goldmine's interpretation of Ziggy Stardust himself. Unfortunately, it bombed hard at the box office when it came out in 1998.
Looks as though it may be unavoidable.
What's that?
The X, I'm afraid.
But times have changed, and a reassessment of the movie, a bona fide love letter to the music scene of the 70s, proves it to be of at least some merit, especially in the wake of Bowie's death.
Worlds, Mandy, are built out of suffering. There's suffering at the birth of a child, as at the birth of a star.
Number 8, Nowhere Boy. The temptation to glamorise the youth of John Lennon might have been too much for some filmmakers, but Sam Taylor Wood's biopic of this cultural icon never strays far from the truth.
I write stuff. Not songs, more poetry, stories.
Add a tune to that and you got a song.
Lennon's teenage years in Liverpool grow more and more troubled when he learns the woman who raised him is actually his aunt, and he goes off to seek his wayward mother, Julia.
I do love you. Believe me.
Believe me. Would love to.
It's her who introduces him to rock and roll and teaches him to play the banjo, eventually leading to the formation of the Quarrymen, his introduction to Paul McCartney, and changing the course of pop history.
In spite of all the danger, in spite of all that may be.
Number 7, Joe Strummer, The Future is Unwritten. A provocative, street-level intellectual, Joe Strummer was an engaging and gripping figure in life.
He was instantly charismatic. Everything in the room focused around him. He always had a different way of putting things, a different angle on things.
Arriving just 5 years after his untimely death at age 50, The Future is Unwritten practically brings the legend back to life, however, as he talks to us via archived footage of interviews and gigs.
I had the feeling that he was getting away from or going to somewhere. He didn't sort of exactly fit in.
It follows his early days as a musician, squatting in London, through the formation and eventual disintegration of the only band that mattered and one of punk's biggest ever powerhouses, The Clash.
It was very much being like in a 24-hour gang, We only had each other.
Number 6, Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll. While Joe Strummer was busy rocking the Casbah, another legend was giving us reasons to be cheerful.
No, it's all shag bar carpets and extraordinary acoustics.
It's Andy Serkis who helps bring Ian Dury back from the dead, and without a trace of mocap as well. Written by Paul Verrar and directed by Matt Whitecross, the film examines Dury's extraordinary rise from childhood polio victim to becoming a rock star and actor, responsible for some of punk rock's catchiest and most poignant lyrics.
The more interesting a man, the greyer his trousers. They also say you're never alone with schizophrenia.
It was Dury who made the phrase sex and drugs and rock and roll itself immortal in 1977, after all.
Last chicken in the shop. Juicy, golden goosey, and I am cooked.
Number 5, The Filth and the Fury. While the Sex Pistols didn't exactly have the longest of careers, at least initially, they certainly made the most of it, and packed every moment with a touch of menace and utter divisiveness.
I knew right away then that he was the singer, he was going to be the one, really.
Already the focus of controversial documentary The Great Rock and Roll Swindle, in which manager Malcolm McLaren told a biased story of the band's rise and demise, and the tragic biopic Sid and Nancy, Filth and the Fury aims to rectify past wrongs.
Sid Vicious got the name after my pet hamster that bit him one day. And he was trying to be sweet to it, and its name was Sid.
Portraying a more accurate version of events, the band's surviving members talk about their 2 brief years at the forefront of punk counterculture, and the chaos that came with it.
I thought they were going to do me over because I didn't turn up to one of Rotten's parties or something. He gets touchy over things like that. And I went down there and he said, "Do you want to play bass for the Sex Pistols?"
Number 4, Topsy Turvy. Despite some evidence to the contrary, music didn't begin in 1962 when the Beatles released Love Me Do. This biopic presents the life and times of one of music's oldest creative partnerships, Gilbert and Sullivan.
What's this cart's been telling me?
Oh dear.
You can't be serious.
I'm afraid I am.
It stars Jim Broadbent and Alan Corduna as the titular duo, who face the challenges of making a successful 19th century opera.
You seem merely to have grafted onto the first act the tantalizing suggestion that we are to be in the realms of human emotion and probability, only to disappoint us by reverting to your familiar world of topsy-turvydom.
The composer and playwright notoriously butted heads when it came to their masterpieces, and with these frequent disagreements, it's a wonder they got anything done at all, let alone ultimately becoming one of the most famous partnerships in music history. All's well that ends well, I suppose.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes, Jessie.
Would that be exactly as we have just seen demonstrated?
Exactly.
Number 3, Control. There's little doubt that the suicide of Ian Curtis in 1980, when he was just 23 years old, is one of the biggest tragedies in music.
I feel it closing in. I feel it closing in. The fear of my call. Every time I call.
Control is an award-winning biopic which tackles Joy Division's early success and Curtis's struggles with depression and epilepsy, resulting in him ending his own life.
Well, it won't be for long. I'll take care of you as soon as a new album comes out.
Played by Sam Riley in his first major film role and filmed in black and white for artistic effect, Control is both a beautiful and completely heartbreaking depiction of the beginning and end of Joy Division, who created an almost unmatched legacy.
I love you.
What does that mean?
Number 2, Bohemian Rhapsody. Before it was released, music fans wondered how well Rami Malek would capture Freddie Mercury's distinctive accents, mannerisms and, well, entire personality. But when the much-awaited biopic of sorts finally came out, it was clear he gave the performance of a lifetime.
We're mixed genres, we're cross boundaries, we're speaking bloody tongues if we want to.
While critics have been perhaps unreasonably harsh, when the surviving members of Queen say the film more than lives up to Mercury's larger-than-life stage presence, they're the ones we should all be listening to.
Freddie, could you tell us about the rumours concerning your sexuality?
What about the rumours concerning your lack of sexuality? I'm just a musical prostitute, my dear.
Can you answer the question?
Not to mention, it's made history by becoming the highest-grossing music biopic ever, which is the least Freddie deserves.
Look, all I know is that if we wake up the day after this concert and we didn't do our part, we're going to regret it to the day we die.
Number 1, Amy. It is a tragedy, there's that word again, that many of music's brightest stars were extinguished much, much too early.
How big do you think you're going to be?
I don't. At all, because, you know, my music is not on that scale, the music is not on that scale.
Consistently wronged by the cutthroat and unforgiving music industry, Amy Winehouse's death in 2011 shook not only the nation, but the entire world. Another inductee into the Macabre 27 Club, Winehouse met her end after a long struggle with addiction enabled by a toxic industry.
Now, the Q Awards, which you were at yesterday, did you have a good time?
I had too good a time, to be honest, if that's possible. Alcohol is bad, kids.
This documentary about her life, art, public image and death won the Academy Award for Best Documentary Feature among dozens of other accolades, and is capable of moving even the most sceptical fan of her music to tears.
I've just got to get it right. I've got to get it right. I'm not getting it right.
No, you are. You are. It's getting better each time and you sound wonderful.